y'all thought it was me, didn't you? But it ain't. It's Nicholas. It's Nicholas. And what's his name? Styles? Jay Styles. Yeah, but what's the business? Jay Sessions. That's it, not Styles. Jay Sessions. Ooh. Ferraro, Mrs. Nick Ferraro.
Oh dear God, really?
Look at that. He's turning his whole arm into the Terminator right now. It's a sick idea. Hold on. 10:33. We have the best tattooist in Rhode Island coming to our house. Want to see me clean and press a girl? Shoot! Boom! Woo! PR.
Is that a fat joke?
So what I'm doing these days is warming up before every single leg workout with very, very light leg extensions. This really helps to lubricate the tendons, warm everything up joint-wise and tendon-wise. It gets the blood flowing, gets the joints moving, and it's really a great preventive movement to do to ensure that you're not going to injure yourself in the heavier compound movements like squats. And today is heavy squat day and heavy deadlift day. As you can see, I'm changing from my Chucks into my Nike Romaleos, my squat shoes. And of course, I'm with my girlfriend Ariana. Her and I both do our lower body days together. She's doing a similar strength program as well, which is amazing for girls. So we have the best lower body days together. We both push each other and amp each other up. And no, she's not as strong as I am training partner-wise, but what's going to motivate you more? A big sweaty meathead or a beautiful blonde girl? Honestly. Squat time. Okay, so it is day number 1 of week number 4. The final week of Johnny Candido's strength and linear program that I've been on to help convert me into powerlifting. And day 1 means it is squat and deadlift day. Strength day, lower body, Monday. You guys are seeing this on a Tuesday, of course. But what this calls for, if you guys haven't been following the channel or following the strength program playlist that I've been running, it is 3 sets of squats, 6 reps each, using 80% or more of your 1 rep max. Followed then by 2 sets of 6 reps, 80% of your max, on deadlifts. So it's squatting and deadlifting, very, very difficult. Squats, you'll notice, haven't gone up in weight since I began the program. And this is kind of intentional because if you don't recall, or if you're new to the channel, I had that really bad ankle injury that set me way off track. Even when I was able to squat again, I would end up leaning and compensating under my right foot, my healthy foot, and it would be a very uneven squat. I wasn't able to really squat evenly at all, and of course I lost a lot of my mobility and strength. So what this program did for me squat-wise is it didn't really allow me to up my weight in squat so much, but it did finally rehabilitate my ankle almost completely. I have a very, very even squat now. There's almost no more compensation, and it really helped retrain my core again. If you compare the first video from the very first week, my sets with 315 looked very, very ugly. Now I'm able to do them very smoothly with a very tight, contracted core. All 3 sets felt amazing at 315, nice and deep. The only thing killing me right now is my allergies. Can't breathe out on my chest or my nose. Every single rep I got like phlegm coming up, choking. It's making it a lot harder to squat. But besides that, everything feels great. Week 4. All right. Whoops. What do we got going on? Ariana set up. Put 45s in these little mats. These mats are no more than like a ½ an inch thick, if that. Because she's using 35s. Ariana's new to deadlifting. This is her 4th time deadlifting. We found out that sumo stance is her best fit for her build. Everybody has their strong suit. Some people are better naturally for conventional. Some people are built more for sumo. Sumo's her sweet spot. So she's using sumo. Thing is, this is her 4th time deadlifting. She's a natural at it. It's an exercise she's going to be very good at, I can already tell. We're making sure her core is activated nice and tightly before she goes up in weight. For third time deadlifting, she was already doing the 35s though. Now what we got is elevation here, because if we start off with just 25s or 35s, we unfortunately don't have big bumper plates. That's going to be basically deadlifting from a deficit. Now granted, that could strengthen her up, but I don't like to start a beginner off learning on a deficit deadlift, because I think A, could add to injury since they're still new to the form, and B, it's just not teaching them how to deadlift first and foremost. Start with the basics, then work your way up. So to make it equal to the height of a 45-pound plate, we put these under here, and if you look at that. 35s, 45s flat on the ground. The height's almost completely the exact same now. So we basically elevated her bar up to the exact height it would be if she was doing 45-pound plates, which strength-wise, I think she can actually do now for at least a rep or two. But again, we're working on doing it with clean form, activating the core from the very bottom, so we're taking it slow. Pull the hair as you hump. Nice. Tight. Drive. Good. Good. Drive. Nice and tight. Breathe deep. Hump as you pull the hair. Good. Woo! Yeah, that was 5. Beautiful. Fourth time deadlifting, 5x5 on 35. Glutes are nice and activated. Core is nice and tight. I like it. Head's up a little bit high, but obviously we'll work on that as we go. That's not the most important thing. One little tip you might hear me say once in a while is grab the hair as you hump. It's very inappropriate, but I guarantee you'll never forget it. So when you sumo deadlift, Richard Hawthorne, pro powerlifter, I give him full credit for this advice. He said A, B, C. Most people try to lead with A, lead with their head and pull up, and then follow with B and then C. He said you want to instead drive B, drive your hips into A, push your head up with your hips, and then everything else locks out. It's exactly how you want to do it with a deadlift. It's more of a pushing exercise than a pulling exercise. Again, that's a quote from Richard. So what I say is when you get in a sumo, you don't want your hips to be popped up way up here. When you go pull, you want to throw your hips underneath yourself. You don't want to be completely like this squatting, but you definitely want to throw your hips under as you pull up. So what I say is, sexual reference, you want to grab the hair, pull on her hair, and then hump as you pull. So you're humping and pulling back at the same time. So whew, like that, instead of craning it up like this. You'll never forget that tip. So deadlifting, I use a conventional form, as I'm sure you all already know. And I wanted to show you this, one of my warm-up sets here with 315 to show you that I don't use a belt on deadlifts until I get to about 80% of my max or more. And I don't use a belt at all on squats, as you notice. So I am big on core strength. I think it's a good idea to use a belt personally for myself once I get past 80% of my max on deadlifts, especially having had a past lower back injury. Another thing to notice is you saw my form was really, really clean on 315. 315 is not any sort of a hard weight for me, and yet I still have that nice little camel hump in my lower back. Again, just the way my lower back is shaped, because I know I'm going to get a few comments saying, Nick, watch that rounding of your back, watch that rounding of your back. The number one thing I think of since the injury is making sure my butt is out and my chest is out with no rounding. And I make sure my glutes stay contracted from the bottom. So on these 2 sets of deadlifts, both 6 reps, being my last week on this program, I bumped the weight up to 425 pounds for my sets of 6. And I'm getting used to the feeling of deadlifting heavy right after squatting heavy, which took me like 3 weeks to get used to. It's very challenging. The weight felt really good. The last couple of reps on this last set got a little too ugly for my comfort. I'm not an ego lifter, guys, I promise. Sometimes I push it just because I have that addiction of wanting to push myself, wanting to lift more weight. It's an addiction all weightlifters have, I think. But I'm aware of it and I'm backing off. Part of the other issue, I think, was that it was just really hard for me to breathe because of my allergies. I kept coughing up phlegm and stuff like midway through the sets, and I'd almost puked at one point. But anyway, deadlifts felt amazing. I then finished it off with 2 quick light machine exercises for legs. Since today was such a heavy strength day, we're not going to do any other compound movements for my accessories. I then finished it off with a little bit of calves. Calves is just an extra thing that you don't have to really incorporate or track if you do decide to incorporate. Literally just throwing calves at the end of any lower body workout that you want to, and it's not going to have any major effect, even though it's not included on Candido's program. He said that was absolutely fine. So calf training. Begin with a bent-legged exercise. Use a fairly moderate weight with high reps. This is going to really exhaust your soleus. Then move on to a straight-legged exercise Use heavyweight in low reps, 5 to 8 reps. This is going to really fry a gastrocnemius after your soleus has been pre-exhausted completely. So 15 to 20 reps for the bent leg, 5 to 8 for the straight legged. That's a good optimal way to target your calves efficiently. The end of this workout, I wrapped it up with 10 to 15 minutes of very light cardio just to kind of cool down. And I find cardio also helps to loosen up the muscles after a leg day, makes them less sore later on. We, of course, did some vigorous stretching afterwards as well. Candido's 4-week linear program is really to acclimate you into powerlifting. Now we're going to begin the 6-week program after this week ends, and that's when we really begin progressing in powerlifting. Buy a t-shirt, nwblifestyle.com in the info box below. Tank tops, t-shirts, hoodies, dog tags, you name it. Support and represent the lifestyle you live.